economic hardship we're all facing right about now in terms of energies and so on and so forth. And to a larger degree, okay, I mean, you understand what she's saying, it makes sense. But what is standing up to Putin going to do? Clearly, due to the sanctions that have been placed upon Russia, Putin has also, in return, turned down the energy supply. And what does she mean by standing up to Vladimir Putin? As if that's going to do something, as if that's going to, hey, Vladimir Putin, we're Great Britain and we're standing up to you. I mean, come on. This is what I don't understand. She's very off the cuff. She says things, and I don't think she thinks about it much. They just roll off her tongue, And I don't understand it. Standing up. What do you mean by standing up to Vladimir Putin? You've already placed a lot of sanctions on Russia. In return, he's also turned off the the energy supply. And so, how are you going to resolve this issue amicably by standing up to Putin? I mean, it's just a lot of code roll-ups. Do you know what I mean? It's just nonsense. I just don't get it. I don't understand. To me, she doesn't seem like somebody that will be able to handle becoming a prime minister. I don't see it. I don't see Rishi Sunak too. I have my doubts. I don't see. I don't know. It's probably down to the type of the cohorts of politicians that we have right now. I don't know. I just don't get it. I just don't get it. It took the former prime minister, Gordon Brown, to actually come out to try to offer a solution as to how the immediate um, um, government coming together to resolve or to put together some sort of package immediately for the short term. I mean, Liz Truss has thwarted that suggestion, saying that, look, and again, I don't understand why she always has to praise Boris Johnson. Boris Johnson is going out. As far as we're concerned, he's no longer the prime minister. He's just a ceremonial role at this minute. Boris Johnson is just occupying the house. He's been told to leave. And she keeps saying, Boris Johnson did well. He was amazing. He did great things. He got Brexit through. He made big decisions in COVID, blah, 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 blah. And so there are people, there's still a cabinet, and they should be able to resolve the issue. To suggest that they should sit down, her and Rishi Sunak should have a meeting with Boris Johnson to come up, it's ridiculous, according to her. So there you have it. There you go. She's in position to become the next prime minister of Great Britain. She's then making a lot of promises, which I don't even think she'll be able to accomplish any of her promises or any of her policies. She thinks that will be able to reduce the hardship that we're all facing at this minute. I mean, look, there's industrial actions being planned left, right, center. And it's going to be very, very difficult for whoever becomes the next prime minister. It will be so difficult. It will be difficult. And there's nobody's doing it. So there's no excuse. Literally, no excuse. No excuse. Soon people will get fed up of the rhetoric of let's blame Russia. People will get fed up. And this is the conservative doing. Conservatives have been in power for 12 years now. And you can't blame Labour anymore. You cannot blame Labour. And she was part of the cabinet, Boris Johnson's cabinet. So who is she really going to blame? I wonder. I don't think Liz Truss is fit to become prime minister, to be honest with you. I don't. I have nothing against it. It's just looking at her and the way she tries to tackle, pressing issues. I don't know. It just doesn't appeal to me. It just doesn't. And as much as she tries herself, I don't know. It's come like she just pluck things out of thin air, and then reneged on the promises, goes back on things. So I don't know. At the minute, they're trying their hardest to sell themselves to conservative voters. Let me know how you're coping with the high cost of living right about now. I'd like to know. Few text messages are coming in. Keep them coming. I will read them out. Okay, I will read them out. Other stories that we'll be looking at today. In Ghana, the electoral commissioner is accused of seeking to change electoral laws. This is by Asiodun Kitia, accusing the EC. Also, Nigeria arrest men suspected of deadly church attack. I think this was last month, where gunmen stormed into a church and killed church members in a building, in a church building. Ghana doubles IMF funding target to $3 billion. Also, Guinea political coalition calls for fresh demonstration. Plus more. We bring you the front pages of newspapers here. Also, look at a few stories here in the UK, particularly there's a story that says people fall behind on energy bills before huge rise. So before even the huge rise take effect, people are already behind. And it's listening to a few radio stations yesterday on this particular subject, and I think it was the Voice newspaper actually that did an article a few months ago projecting that yes, there's a global economic issues, there's hardship in this country, but when it's broken down, ethnic minorities will suffer the most. When it comes to losing jobs, they'll be the first to lose their jobs. When it comes to pay cuts, they'll be the first to get their salaries slashed. And the impacts, that it has on us. So that's why I'm putting to you, how are you surviving? I know some friends that have taken on extra jobs. I know some friends that are trying hard to work um, overtime just to make up for the outgoings, because the outgoings have more or less doubled. So the salary, there's no increment in salary. However, there's increment in outgoing. And how do you sustain that? It's unsustainable. How are you coping? What are you doing to curtail the burden? What are you doing? I know that households, with families, and the children are now on holidays. And gosh, you know, only God knows. Only God knows. Let's find out. 0203-735-8820 or 0203-286-0185. If you don't want to talk about your own personal circumstances, maybe you can share light on what others are doing, or if you have any solution, any ideas that you think would be good to our discussion today, feel free to share them. Okay, if you're watching us live on Facebook, make sure you share as well. There's a lot to discuss this morning, and I keep saying this, right? A lot of the time we don't get the platform to share our story, talk about our experiences, and that's why we're here. We're giving you the platform to be able to do so, and I want to hear from you. I want to hear from you. The time now is 8:23. Yesterday, Mr. Kofi Ali, if you're listening, good morning to you once again. Yesterday, I think Kofi Ali sent me a message saying that he wanted to speak about ECOWAS. Remember yesterday, we brought you the news about Nigeria looking to withdraw its membership from ECOWAS, as they felt that the process, the recruitment process, marginalized Nigerians. And Kofi Ali wanted to talk about it, but Kofi Ali felt that I overlooked that particular subject. But Kofi, I didn't. I didn't overlook that subject or that story. I did talk about it. Mr. Yosin initially called in, and then I went on to just give a bit of background to let people know why Nigeria looking to take such position. So I welcome you, Mr. Kofi Ali. If you still want to be given the opportunity to talk about it, you're more than welcome to do so. All right. We're gonna take a quick break. The time now is 8:24. If you need a reminding, I will remind you today is the 10th of August, Wednesday, 10th of August, 2022. All right, we're taking a quick break. When we'll come back, we'll start talking. And I start maybe read a few of the messages, but I encourage you to keep sending in your messages. All right.
Yo, Ghana for you want English approach my moha. Ya sweady. Yenya emranimfo a won akwadare wo emran mu a poto kasa mu ye kasa a lawyer for entimi nuanom mo yemfo ye immigration ensem nyina enko dan wo mo Fortwell solicitors emranimu akuku drofo se watena ha che ombeboa wo ma wonsa ka won krata na se wedi edro nso a eyo mo kokokra eba ni nipa setena mu ani adwuma mu nsem bia omudim akotene pa omo wo mre di mani pa bia na de ni ka wo mu mpo ni se no consultation fee.
Fortwell Solicitors always puts our clients' needs first. We specialize in all UK visa applications, detention and deportation cases, student and work points-based work permit applications from both UK and abroad. Fortwell Solicitors also deals with long residence and human rights applications outside the immigration rules. Don't wait till last minute. Fortwell Solicitors is located at
Unit 1, ground floor, Katrina House, 58 Clarendon Road, London, N80DJ. Nearest tube station, Tempark Lane and Woodgrade. Overground, Holmes Station. Buses, 41 to Archway and 144 to Maswa Hill. For more info, call 0203 3257 030. Call our 24-hour line on 0754 8701 011. Website www.fortwellsolicitors.com.
opening hours Monday to Friday 9:30 to 5:30 p.m.
Thursday Beyonce Young Milton Keynes.
Fortwell Solicitors is regulated by SRA.
Fortwell Solicitors.
Become a successful entrepreneur with Jackie and her professional team. Become a successful entrepreneur. Anase Base. Wami a team of professional teachers of economics, marketing. Ninga omoyebi. So we pesa will transform our life from a youth graduate and a school leaver. Nasa we pesa we ye entrepreneur. Mon contacti Base. Entrepreneur no che say obia ebia wa business. Ebia we ye che. But we pesa we no in a professional way. To say Oprah Winfrey. Anaya papa Kwame Despite. Base bet me ama sa Diano abim. One your experts our coaching and a mentoring. And as one person will start to our business base for bet show how we be expand your business and as existing customer base. Base provides support in business plans, step-by-step finance applications, and marketing strategies. Base or become a successful entrepreneur also provide entrepreneurship skills through vision and determination. Some more per free consultation for a base
073 99 867 417. I repeat 073 99 867 417.
And also one email address info@becomeasuccess.co.uk. Website www.becomeasuccess.co.uk. Mokohwa mobetimi make bookings for an appointment. Base and I said become a successful entrepreneur. Let's turn your vision into a reality.
Abusiafo yɛde dwumadie foforɔ ɛbrɛ mu wɔ GN Radio. Your friend of worship and inspiration every Sunday evening between the hours of 7 and 9 p.m. Daniel Kweku Datson and Amanda Ofori at this Ajumedie Ebro. Make sure that you tune in. It's going to be an awesome moment of worship, God's word, conversation, gospel celebrity interviews, Bible knowledge, and what have you. And also your comments. I want to hear from you, your testimonies, what inspires you, and a lot more. Make sure say on miss our programming every Sunday evening at GN Radio. Worship and inspiration. Your weekly inspiration starts from here.
The world as we know it has changed, and so have the issues affecting our community.
COVID-19 and the geopolitical tensions have really made it abundantly clear that the African continent has to do more to be self-sufficient from an industrial capacity point of view.
Join me, Jones Awuah, on GN Breakfast Show as we look at issues affecting us here in the UK, with a close eye on trending stories across the world.
When we invest from the UK into infrastructure in African countries, that it is absolutely transparent.
With a focus on Ghana's social and political issues.
I mean, it's not about you thinking about, your money, the Sikadiya, it's not what our authorities should be thinking about, or officials, but rather they should think about the nation.
The Breakfast Show with Jones Awuah.
Monday to Wednesday, 8 a.m. on GN Radio.
Ebusia. Ese dia me pedo no. Yonku desi no. Usani mame. She, ya sorry preocupe na fa akora no kona kwagi na yaresa. Adan wo wura fise ebisa wo bi efitwa kunkun ana. Samuel wo me di kan etredu no nwotwe di chemu nwotwe no. Eho na bra na so wo ne Philippine fo ekoko. Okọ oba bia no abe ewo humu. Emo de to nanim se. Okoko na obewu. Asante kotoko se wotu wotu so a ehimu. Enu nti sorry preocupe na tutumirika. Na fa akora no kwagi na yarehwe. Esanse anoma wo hoye ye monopo. Ma me kosohwe bueni pepi onyo meti se yimu opeme okonechi na wasan ababiem se de onnam posene kane no unim se obabia cha adwaya na osiesie no honhumu yade ti se obaidi honhumu attack adayeso basabasa kodanna abrabo na sinitrase ayemhihye wo hihye na adwiragu abrabo mu adeso biada wo ba abroche hayi ya santo apenso nanso wo nko a wusia na abu wo hihye na adwiri obopa na esane sikato wonsam a na ahye kai na hu se obiara ni wa watumi atumi ka esan otwen ho da ma wo ho anya hare na wo de na ankoye se abrodwuma a woforo bo wieye na afi obeka se wonu no ho wonu yade adokotafo antimi ansa no enumpo eno ye ho adwuma from ma me koso hwe wo ahoma so 0790846991 0790846991 ana 0740580734 0740580734 Mame koso hwa na ye twe no a ye twe botentim
Welcome back to the program. This is GN Radio Morning Breakfast Show with myself, Jones Awuah. Soon, hopefully, we'll be joined by economists from Ghana to talk about Ghana's doubling the IMF funding to $3 billion, and just look at the whole economy in Ghana as we speak. Okay, so hopefully we'll be able to get Daniel Osabote online. We tried him a couple of months ago, but we weren't successful. So hopefully this time around we'll be able to do that, and then hopefully put some of your questions to him. So if you have any questions you want to put to him, you can do so. All right, you can send your questions in the same channel. Send your WhatsApp or text message to 0778 793 9958. 0778 793 9958. There are a lot of text messages coming in on the subject of the cost of living, the higher cost of living. How are you coping? We're here in the UK. If you're driving, if you're a driver, the prices have gone up. If you're shopping, food shopping, prices have gone up. Everything, prices have gone up due to inflation. How are you coping? And let me add another one to this. Do you think the likes of Liz Truss or Rishi Sunak could be able to solve this issue? Who do you have faith in more to solve this crisis that we're currently facing? Well, I've made my position clear. I've made my stance. I don't think Liz Truss has the capability to be able to do anything, simply because I just think she fumbles too much and she's a bit wishy-washy, and as I think as a prime minister, I know that It's hard to put trust and politician in the same sentence, and I'm not looking at trust per se or truth per se. It's more or less coming up with something viable that we can all agree to and something that can be implemented. Cutting down tax and still inflation still doesn't make sense. Trying to borrow in the newspapers yesterday, according to the Guardian, her plans to slash energy bills will cost the country, taxpayers will pay for it, 50 billion pounds. However, poorer people will still be worse off. So then you ask the question: how did she come up with this sum? How did she come up with such a policy? It's so I'm not too sure about Liz Truss. Rishi Sunak, on the other hand, he's the man that got us into this mess. Well, some will say that the war in Ukraine by the cuts was under him. So I don't understand how somebody who brought in cuts and then all of a sudden it's going to do a youth. I just don't get it. I don't know. Maybe you do. You be able to share your thoughts and comments. All right. I'm here to listen and let's have a conversation. Let's have a dialogue. All right. Let's look at the newspapers' front pages this morning, the headlines, and we begin with the Metro. The majority of newspapers lead with the worsening cost of living crisis. The Metro carries the stark warning issued by consumer expert Martin Lewis that the rapid rise in cost of energy will be deadly for some people struggling financially. The paper says Mr. Lewis demanded the zombie government of Boris Johnson respond to the spiraling cost of living now. But it also notes the Prime Minister has confirmed he will not intervene before his successor is chosen in September. So there you go. Like I said before I went on a break, Boris Johnson, more or less a caretaker, isn't he? He's just keeping the house warm. It's just a ceremonial role for Boris Johnson right now. He will not intervene. But Boris Johnson is still the Prime Minister. And he's saying he will not intervene. And the fact that Liz Truss absolutely thwarted what Gordon Brown was suggesting, that Liz Truss and Rishi Sunak should get with Boris Johnson because either one of them will become the Prime Minister and find an immediate solution, or for Parliament to be recalled to find an immediate solution. Liz Truss said that was a kangaroo suggestion, that there's still a functioning cabinet. Clearly, nothing is going to be made. Any big decision, Boris Johnson has said he will not touch it. So the most important thing will be the most sensible thing, logical thing will be for both candidates, because I'm sure Rishi Sunak, whether he wins or not, probably serving Liz Truss's cabinet. I am sure they can sit down with Boris Johnson, outgoing Prime Minister, incoming Prime Ministers or Prime Minister, can sit around the table and come up with a package to alleviate the burden that we're facing as a people right now. I just don't, I don't know. It's just, maybe it's just me. Maybe you're fine. It's a lot of, maybe you're fine in your comfort zone, you're chilling, you're relaxing. This has no bearing on your situation one little bit. I don't know. But the most sensible thing would be to take that decision. And I think this will, people will not forget this, because you're looking to do things. You want something done. You can't just sit down and wait till September 5th or 7th or whatever, when somebody is elected, a new prime minister is elected. And then what? And then you go into number 10 Downing Street, you sit on your around your cabinet meeting and say, okay, guys, come on, chaps, what do we have? What do we have to do? What is the next steps? I don't know. That's you've heard my stance on my position with Liz Truss. Also, Serena Williams is retiring from tennis. I remember when the two sisters, the Williams sisters, burst onto the scene, and they definitely changed the women's tennis. And for me, I think they just made it more competitive as to how it was before. They brought a lot of aggression to the women's game, um, a lot of strength, power into women's game. I remember it so vividly. And the newspapers were very cruel to the Williams sisters, really, really cruel to them. Body shaming and so on and so forth. And she's been able to stick at it and excel, you know. And for me, the best female tennis ever. So, she deserves this. She deserves this. She's accomplished everything that there is to accomplish as a top professional athlete. Also, the I says prime ministerial contender Liz Truss has softened her stance on providing more help for people struggling with their bills, according to the I. The paper says the Tory leadership favorite opens the door to more financial support following a new forecast that typical energy bills could exceed 4,200 a year by the start of next year. All right, let's see what the Guardian is leading with. Boris Johnson has assured people that his successor as prime minister is certain to provide more assistance with rising costs. The Guardian reports. The paper reports his unexpected intervention has put pressure on Ms. Truss, who has been accused by her rival Rishi Sunak of being divorced from reality by refusing to commit to more direct forms of financial support beyond tax cuts. Wow. And also the Guardian has a picture of Serena Williams with the caption, "The countdown has begun on Williams' retirement." Probably, I have a feeling probably the US Open, she'll call it a day. Daily Express, nothing new here. In Liz we trust. The Daily Express has expressed its full-throated support for Ms. Truss to become the next prime minister, claiming it is a dramatic announcement that could help seal her victory. Under the headline, "In Liz we trust," the paper argues the foreign secretary is best placed to lead the country through troubled times with a strong hand and a cool head in Downing Street. I mean, you've got to laugh at these type of headlines. Okay, I for one, I do read the Daily Express simply because it's good to understand where the right wing agenda is going. Right? So just so that you can get a more balanced view on issues. The Financial Times. Miss Truss is facing an early fight with the Bank of England should she succeed in becoming the prime minister, according to the Financial Times. The paper says that she has vowed to press ahead with plans to give ministers powers to overrule regulators of the financial sector if they are seen to be held back post Brexit reforms. Okay, so here we go again. It's all about Brexit, isn't it? It's all about Brexit, getting Brexit done at all costs. But I think she will, she'll be found wanting. She will. The Daily Telegraph. The Daily Telegraph leads with Mr. Sunak's decision last year, while Chancellor reporting his freezing of income tax thresholds has led to a stealth tax worth up to 30 billion. The Institute for Fiscal Studies think tank has warned the move to prevent them from rising with inflation until 2026 will pull people into higher tax brackets as their pay rise. The pay rises, according to the paper. And the Sun, this story will not go. He came at me and headbutted me. I could taste blood. Giggs X tells the court of assault. So there's a domestic abuse trial of Ryan Giggs, the former Man United player and manager, allegedly being abusive towards his missus. The Daily Mirror, Giggs cheated on me with 8 women. Okay. The court also heard that Mr. Giggs had 8 affairs during the 6-year relationship. The jury in Manchester was told that alleged assault on her took place after an argument about his infidelity. Okay. The Times, universities blacklist harmful literature. Books withdrawn from campus reading list. Trigger warnings for more than 1,000 texts. The Times leads with exclusive investigation into literature being removed from some universities' curricula for being harmful to the well-being of students. The paper says novel, including Pulitzer Prize winner, containing graphic depiction of slavery, have been permanently removed or made optional over concerns about challenging content. I don't know. I'm not. Gosh. I mean, in as much as I'm pro, things that were done many years ago, historical books that have been written, or despicable things that were done by some people, people that are seen as heroes. I don't know. In academic, I don't understand. I wouldn't agree. Let's put it as that, for these books to be removed or not used as part of the university's curriculum. I object to that, because I did get it, because I remember we were studying. I think it was to do with slavery and the whole international system, and post-slavery, and talking about imperialism. And these subjects are very sensitive. And as a black person, as an African person, as such, and yes, in as much as they're very, it can cause emotions, it can trigger emotions, and they're a very delicate subject to tackle. But the whole point of academia is to be able to rise beyond that, isn't it? It's to be able to critically analyze and critically discuss and critically argue and so on and so forth. So I don't, the fact that these books have to be removed or canceled, it just goes beyond me. It's this whole woke movement is going a bit too far for my liking, to be honest with you. If that's the case, then the likes of Winston Churchill, then we have to go and remove his statue. We have to remove his statue from Whitehall. We have to go and remove his statue, Winston Churchill, because Winston Churchill did have, can be argued as being racist, but then he is held, such a high pedestal in this country. The likes of Margaret Thatcher. Margaret Thatcher supported apartheid, and for that reason could be described as racist. And the list goes on. Where does it end? But I just think these books or these figures, historical figures, are there for us to learn about the current climate during that time and what led to such decisions or such things happening, and for us to be able to debate on it and make sure it doesn't happen in the near future. So putting it down doesn't do anything, doesn't erase actually atrocities that were caused. It doesn't. It's almost as if saying that we have to stop talking about September 9/11. I think we have to stop talking about it because of what the jihadists, the terrorists did. We find it offensive. It's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Totally ridiculous. I just don't get it. And finally, the Daily Star. The Daily Star's front page uses a picture of an extreme sunburnt and unhappy looking man to issue warning about this week's heat wave. So if you're out there working, the buses, underground, make sure you have a bottle of water, okay? That you keep hydrating yourself, because we're in for a 4-day heat wave. Okay, so make sure you take the necessary precautions to avoid getting heat stroke or just exhaustion. All right, so that's the front pages, newspaper headlines here. I'm really not in favor of pulling down, books from universities simply because it may be seen as harmful or the content in there are harmful. Goodness me. I mean, even what's his name? What's the name of the fellow that wrote The Rivers of Blood? I'll get his name. Something Powell, right? I'll get the name up very, very soon. I mean, that in itself, okay. One will argue that it should never be publicized again or whatever. I mean, that speech you have to always. Enoch Powell, his name is. Yes, Enoch Powell, The Rivers of Blood. Basically, racist, xenophobic, just talking about the future generation, future of Great Britain, the fear that Britain could become cosmopolitan, wrote The Rivers of Blood. And in as much as I disagree with whatever Enoch Powell wrote, I mean, it's a text to go back to read and to understand, okay, to understand why people will hold such despicable, ridiculous views. Okay, isn't that how the world's supposed to be? Challenging each other. Okay, because at the end of the day, you can't help how an individual feels. And this is what I was talking about the other day. I think it was a Monday, right? And we talk about tribalism, and within our small social our small society groups or social groups, right? So I'm Ghanaian, so I'll use Ghana for instance. So by social or cultural belonging, I will go under the banner of Akan, okay, and then you have the Gan, you have Ewe, you have House, so on and so forth. All right, but then when you step outside your small cultural group or tribe, you're representing your country, your nation. So you're known as a Ghanaian or a Nigerian or Kenyan, not necessarily by your tribe. It's when you go down into and you break it down. That's when it becomes visible which tribe you're from. And at the end of the day, whether we like it or not, it still exists. Tribalism exists. So does that mean that we have to cancel everybody who has said something in the past or people that have written books that's very one-dimensional with a specific view? The whole point of this is to also have a book to challenge it, to argue against it. And this is what academics do, isn't it? A lot of the time somebody writes a book, and let me tell you one particular book, theory, from what's his name? Is it Huntington? Yes. Huntington's theory. He came up with this conception that at the end of the Cold War, right? The breakdown of the Soviet Union. So he was thinking of because the Cold War ended, and now we're thinking, okay, what's going to happen? Conflict in terms of the global, what's going to happen? The Cold War has ended. People on the communism side have lost. The capitalists have won. What's going to happen? What's going to be the next thing? And Huntington came with this theory called the clash of civilizations, basically putting people into groups. So, for instance, not necessarily on tribes, but civilized nations into groups that they will in the end, this is what will bring the conflict. So, for instance, Western ideology, so democracy and Christianity, were seen as one civilization. Another civilization was Islam. Okay, Islam opposes Western ideologies, democracy, religion, so on and so forth. And this will be the clash. Okay, so he called it the clash of civilizations. And I mean, it was absolutely ridiculous. Nevertheless, it set up a debate. And if you looked at this on a more superficial level, you realize that you could probably argue that his um his perception or his argument came to fruition. One being 9/11, the 9/11 attacks, September 11 attacks. The jihadist movement, their whole thing is they hate the Western ideology, they're against Christianity, they're against democracy. Okay, and they want to stop the spread of democracy or Western influence in Islamic states. So on a superficial level, you would think that, okay, maybe what this guy is saying is true. This is what could potentially happen. But then when critically analyzed, when you look deep into it, you realize that his idea or argument did not come to fruition because the USA, okay, the USA, leader of the free world, one of his biggest allies is Saudi Arabia. So his whole thing was the whole Islamic world would join forces to fight or to oppose Western countries, and it didn't happen. That didn't happen. And we remember if when 9/11 happened and George Bush gave the speech, he specifically said that this is not against Islam, but extreme people that have used the text to justify their evil deeds, and that didn't happen. So the point I'm trying to draw out here is that just because people may come up with some ridiculous text or concepts or theories doesn't mean that they should be pulled down. It doesn't. It doesn't mean they should be pulled down. Another author, what's his name? Saeed. Oh, I forgot his first name. He's a professor actually. Also, he wrote a book. He's wrote many books countering Hutterton's ridiculous proposition. And that's what you're supposed to do. Why pull them out? Why? That's the whole point of debate, isn't it? That's the whole point of debate, because some people might also argue that Hutterton's theory is actually come to fruition, and you can't argue that. I don't think it did. I don't think it did. I think when we were discussing them, my argument was actually that. I mean, the question was, does it tell or does it explain conflict post Cold War? And I'll say no, it didn't. So there you have it. That's my little rant about that particular story. I don't understand why universities will go as far as pulling down books because it's offensive. We can't just keep canceling all the time. If that's the case, then the likes of William Shakespeare soon will be cancelled as well. And this whole canceling culture, I don't get. I mean, there's some people who have extreme views, right? And I understand. And right by now, I was speaking to a friend of mine the other day, right? And I mean, if you were to think about this, let's say even 20 years ago, 2 decades ago, this whole canceling culture was not in existence. It wasn't. But somehow, some way, if you happen to be on air and you say something contrary to a group of people's beliefs, then believe you me, they will come after you. They will definitely come after you. And you know why that is? I think I have a theory to explain why that is. It's because of tech giants. So the likes of Twitter, who are part of that whole woke movement, I think. Because if the likes of Donald Trump can be blocked, the most powerful man, if not one of the most powerful men, or the most powerful man at the time during his presidency can be blocked, then believe you me, these guys, as someone argued, are more powerful than even our leaders. Anyway, so that's the newspaper headlines here. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we look at other stories trending across the continent of Africa. And as always, I'm open to your thoughts, your views, and whether we agree to disagree or we disagree. That's part and parcel of life. So get in touch, okay? 0203 735 8820 or 0203 286 0185. We'll be back right after these short commercials. Welcome back from the break. This is GN Radio Morning Breakfast Show with myself, Jones Awuah. The time now is coming up to 5 minutes past 9. It is Wednesday, the 10th of August, 2022. Now, soon we'll be crossing over to Ghana to speak to economists to talk about Ghana's decision to increase the bailout from IMF to $3 billion. But before we do so, I just want to bring you some news across the continent of Africa. Now, the former head of the presidential party in Democratic Republic of Congo, who recently switched to the opposition, was arrested on Tuesday in Kinshasa and transferred to prison in connection with proceedings for contempt of the head of state, a judicial source said. Let's take a listen to this report from African News.
The former deputy head of the Congolese National Assembly, Jean-Marc Kabund, was arrested Tuesday on accusations of insulting President Felix Tshisekedi as the fallout between the two former allies widens. A prosecutor's statement said Kabund was being held for contempt against the head of state and defamation. Kabund worked as the head of Tshisekedi's Union for Democracy and Social Progress Party before being expelled. In January, Kabund resigned as the vice president of the National Assembly in a sign of growing cracks in Tshisekedi's ruling coalition ahead of the 2023 presidential election. In July, Kabund unveiled his own party and accused Tshisekedi of incompetence and corruption.
Okay, so we'll definitely keep an eye on this particular story. And also, as DRC will be going to the polls in 2023. So just know that DRC will be the news for a while now. Now, yesterday, Kenyans went to vote. As we stand, I think stands the voting, counting are on the way. Let's take a quick listen to this report here.
Vote counting was underway in Kenya on Tuesday evening after polls closed in the East African country's general election. At some polling stations, voting continued even after 5 o'clock, at which polling officially closed. Kenyan law allows those found in the queue by 5 p.m. to cast their ballots. By 4 p.m., 10 hours after polling began, turnout was at just over 56% of the 22 million registered voters, according to the Election Commission. Voting largely passed without major incident. The commission said about 200 electronic voter registration kits had failed out of a total of more than 46,000, while polling was suspended in Wajir, a county bordering Somalia, after a gunfight left election officials trapped inside an office where ballots were stored. Vote tallying could go on for days. The law gives the commission up to 7 days to announce results. The front-runners for president, Raila Odinga and William Ruto, have run a fierce campaign.
Yes, they have. The front-runners, the main two political, or should I say presidential candidates, Mr. Ruto and Mr. Odinga. But let's listen to them because yesterday they casted their vote. And also, especially, I think there's 4 presidential candidates and a soundbite of them voting, and also the outgoing president, Uhuru Kenyatta.
I feel very good that after so many months of campaigning and speaking to the people of Kenya and selling our agenda and our manifesto and having discussions across the country, this morning it's D-Day.
So that was Mr. Ruto there speaking to journalists, talking about the long campaign. The D-Day has finally come. All right, let's speak to Mr. Kit Yosin. Mr. Yosin, good morning. I'm very well, thank you. And yourself?
I'm very well, thank you as well.
What would you like to say this morning, sir?
To say good morning to the brothers in Kenya. The Kenyans are our brothers. They are also sons and daughters of Kwame Nkrumah.
Absolutely.
Kwame Nkrumah is a good friend of Jomo Kenyatta. So we know Uhuru Kenyatta and Odinga. They are brothers. I'm not happy that they keep fighting when it comes to elections. I don't want them to ever to fight. I just want them to be in a democracy and just make sure the rules are being followed. In Kenya, when it comes to elections, people are killed and all that. Please, I want peace in Kenya. They are more than that. We've got independence because, and they took it. Kwame Nkrumah was a good friend of Jomo Kenyatta. They all planned for freedom of Africa. For so many years. For so many years since we've had independence, the Kenyans had independence, they still don't understand each other and they keep fighting. I'm worried for them. I pray for them.
This time around, we haven't heard any news of such, but yes, 2017, I think it was the last time they had election. I think it was smooth.
I hope it's fine. The climate, I know
the
the
leaders
climate
have been
is
able
not a
to come
comfortable one.
together, and I think Kenyans, by and large, have realized that it's not about fighting or anything else. Democracy, let it work.
Yeah. Okay. So thank you. So I'll say I pray for them. I pray for them.
All right, Mr. Yossin.
Yes, sir. And you asked another question.
Yes.
Cost of living.
Yes. I want to know how people are coping, or if there are any suggestion how people can, what people need to do, or what they can do to be able to cope with the high cost of living that we're all facing right now.
Quite honestly, the high cost of living in the United Kingdom, it's preferable to every Ghanaian who have suffered in Accra. If you've lived life in Ghana and you've seen real high cost of living, this one in UK is a small trouble. It's rather a blessing for the African or the Ghanaian to come to UK to suffer high cost of living. It's much better than to stay in Africa, in Ghana, and suffer abject poverty. I'm saying abject poverty because in Ghana, if you do not work, you will never eat until you die. Somebody just got to help you. Can you get the same thing in the UK? No. If you do not eat, you just go to DSS, you sign a form. At least they'll give you food to eat. They give you money to buy food. Ghana, who is going to give you money? Is it Ekupado or Nkrumah or Rollins or what? They're not doing business with this business. So every Ghanaian is serious, but shut up and put up with high cost of living in the United Kingdom. Otherwise, go back to Ghana and see where the real high cost of living is in Ghana, not in the UK. I'm not being funny. I'm being honest.
All right, Mr. Yossin, thank you. We'll end it here for now, but because I've got my guest right on cue, and we'll come back to you. So do feel free to call back, Mr. Yossin. I know you've got a lot to say. Now, moving on swiftly. Ghana is expecting to receive $3 billion over 3 years from the International Monetary Fund, IMF, if an agreement on a program is reached. International news agency Bloomberg reports. Now, Bloomberg reported that the loan request was double the amount of 1.5 billion the West African nation was requesting a month ago. Now, according to the news portal, the source agreed to give the information on condition of anonymity. Anonymity. Since negotiations of the program are starting now, it's too early to comment on the final form of the program will take. An IMF spokeswoman said in an emailed response. The extended credit facility for low-income countries is the fund's main tool for medium-term support for countries facing protracted balance of payment problems, similar to Ghana's one. Okay, now joining us to discuss this is economist Mr. Daniel Sabote, all the way from Ghana. Good morning to you, Mr. Sabote, and thank you for joining us this morning. Why the need for the government to seek additional funds from IMF?
Good morning to your viewers and listeners back in the UK. Yes, I think we are all witnessing the economic crisis that Ghana is going through. You are not in Ghana, so you are not really feeling the pinch.
But we're also feeling a pinch here as well.
But those of us in Ghana, we can feel it in our pockets, right? Inflation keep on rising day in, day out. We have the cedi depreciating.
Okay, it looks as if there's a bit of a glitch. We'll try and get him back on. Mr. Daniel Sabote, if you can hear us, maybe you might have to reconnect because it looks as if the connection is not that great. We'll try and get Mr. Daniel Sabote back on to talk about the reason for Ghana seeking to double the funds it wants from the IMF. The sources agreed to give the information on condition of anonymity. So this information is being given from somebody that decided to hold their identity. On 1st July, government announced a U-turn of an initial decision not to resort to IMF for support, despite economic hardship hitting citizens. Consequently, a team from IMF arrived in Ghana to start negotiations with the Ghana government. The government has since maintained to secure a good deal for the country. So hopefully Daniel Sabote will be able to join us again and explore this further. But whilst we await, let me bring you other news as well. Kenya, still on Kenya, as Kenyans vote in close-fought election race. And I think if anyone thought this was going to be, smooth sailing for any of the candidates, then, they had something coming. Let's listen to this report.
Kenyans voted largely peacefully on Tuesday as two political heavyweights battled it out on a high-stakes race for the presidency of the East African Powerhouse. The country is hoping for an orderly transition of power after almost a decade under President Uhuru Kenyatta. By noon, 6 hours after polling began, turnout was just over 30% of the 22 million registered voters, according to the Independent Electoral and Boundary Commission. Comparable figures for the August 2017 election were not immediately available, but overall turnout then reached 78%. Incidents of delays in opening polling stations and problems with electronic voters' registration equipment were reported in several areas.
All right, so now I believe we have Daniel back online. Daniel, so if you may continue from where you left off.
Yeah, sorry for the break. We had a few technical problems here.
No problem at all.
Okay, so I was saying that over here in Ghana, people are really going through lots of challenges. And we all know that this challenge can be attributed to both global and domestic issues. Yeah, globally, economies have to battle with COVID-19. And then currently we are all going through the difficulties as a result of the Russian-Ukrainian war. So things are very difficult in Ghana. price of goods and services keep on increasing, as I mentioned earlier. So when people heard that the government was going in for IMF bailout, we saw it to be a panacea to some of the economic challenges that we are going through. But if you look at it critically, the initial amount of 1.5 billion, I saw it not to be enough, looking at what this bailout is supposed to do. Because one, the bailout is supposed to give us some kind of credibility when it comes to international community. We've been told that our debt is so huge that it has become unsustainable, for which the door is shut to any external borrowing. So we need to really inject lots of money into the system, not by cutting fresh monies or whatever, or printing fresh monies, let me put it that way. But then such a support is bound to at least cushion the economy for some time. On Friday, we had, what do you call it? This credit rating agency, S&P, further downgrading this country from B- to CC+. And that is a big minus to the managers of the economy. Because once you receive such a downgrade, what it means is that the economy has become a junk economy. Okay, you cannot attract foreign investors. Here is a case, you need money to execute your planned agenda, your projects. You know, people have to live comfortably. And the door to external borrowing is completely shut. Even if an investor will take the risk of investing in this country, he wouldn't do it at the normal coupon rate or the interest rate. That person will be expecting to have higher compensation in the form of higher interest rate. Okay, and this is a real, it's a big problem on the economy, because if you look at our debt servicing as we speak, we are spending close to 50% of our total revenue for the year in servicing debt. So our recent budget, the government projected 37 billion out of the 100 billion projected revenue just to service debt. Recently, it has been reviewed because of the depreciation of the cedi to 41 billion. So if you are using a chunk of your revenue in servicing external and domestic debt, then it is an indication that you don't have what it takes in sustaining such debt. Okay, so a lot of factors go into credit rating. One would have asked, how come we got into this stage? It was so clear that we were heading towards serious economic crisis. And
I was just about to ask you that how much of this is actually down to as a result of the war in Ukraine and also the pandemic? Is it just down to these two factors, or a lack of financial or fiscal indiscipline?
Yes, I mentioned that we have both global downturn as well as domestic loopholes, challenges. Let me put it that way. The fundamentals weren't too strong. And let me say this, that you could see that the Awuah government sought for IMF assistance, and the NPP by a year. So you could see that.
Okay, Daniel, looks like we're having difficult hearing you. We're having difficulty hearing you, so we'll try and get you back on. For some reason, the line is not still at all. The line is not stable. we'll try and get you back on, Daniel. If you can reconnect, that would be good. Hopefully the producers will be able to do that to get you back on, because I think it's important, because we keep hearing this, that the war in Ukraine, and I get it, because Ghana exports crude oil, and also especially in the agric sector, a lot of the fertilizers comes from Russia. I get it, but also I think that there needs to be more light shed on the fact that these two external factors, COVID as well, that's causing this economic hardship that we need to go to the IMF, or is it, is it down to fiscal indiscipline? It'd be good to get Daniel back online. We're still working on it. Hopefully, we can get Daniel back on again. Keep your thoughts and comments coming in. The numbers are 0203 735 8820 or 0203 286 0185. Alternatively, you can send your text message to 078 793 9958. You can call that number as well. Okay. If you want to get in touch that way. Okay, looks like we've got Daniel back online. Hello, Daniel. Hopefully the line will be stable this time. Let's hear you.
Yes, I pray so. Yes, so I was saying that you look at the economy between 2018 and then 2021, we experienced some stability, okay, all because we had opportunity to go to the Eurobond market to raise enough money. But ever since the downgrade came, you've seen that the investor confidence has drastically reduced. So investors are not willing to sort of invest in this country. And that has culminated in the depreciation of our cedi. Because you shouldn't forget that we depend so much on importation of goods, okay? And unfortunately, the local people, recently Buta was saying that is the Ghana Union of Traders Association. They were lamenting seriously that even though we import a lot, only 15% of the indigents are into importation, and that 85% of our importation is being done by multinationals within Ghana. So at the end of the day, what happens is that they repatriate, okay, the little dollars that we have in the economy, putting pressure on the dollar. At the end of the year, they declare profits, they pay their tax, and a chunk of this profit is also repatriated. So we are left with no surplus in terms of our foreign exchange. Again, you look at our foreign reserves. The foreign reserve is depleting day in, day out. And for your currency to be very strong, you need a strong foreign reserve to back it. You need lots of gold to back it. Yes, you are in UK. You know that in the UK, they don't mind gold. Yet the pound sterling is very strong. It is backed by strong gold. Okay? So one of the reasons why our credit rating keep on reducing is because our foreign reserve keep on depleting. And that is accounting for the depreciation of the cedi. Okay, so people have suggested, people have given, lots of recommendations to government, and I pray that government will heed to such recommendations. In their own media review budget, they have outlined certain solutions to the problem, and we believe one of them has to do with the central bank going to the domestic market to buy gold to back the cedi. I think that will also strengthen the cedi. That is one important approach. Fortunately for us, the tax exemption bill has now become a law because government has lost so much through tax exemption, especially exemption that is given to multinationals. Okay, now that the tax exemption has become a law, I'm sure it will also tighten that loophole and this money to come to government. Now, again, we have the e-levy which has been passed. Unfortunately,
oh dear, Daniel. Anyway, we'll keep trying to get Daniel back on. Hopefully, maybe get Daniel back on audio, because maybe audio might be a bit more stable to that of having him on video. So we'll still try and do our best to get Daniel back on, because what he's saying is very important. We're talking about higher cost of living, and right about now, Ghana's economy, as Ghana seeking IMF bail. They've decided to double the amount that they're requesting from IMF, from 1.5 billion to 3 billion. And Daniel was saying he's not surprised because of the situation that Ghana is in at the minute. And of course, what he's saying, if your credit rating is poor, then investors are hesitant. And if investors do decide to take the risk, then of course interest rates are going to be higher. So a lot to talk about, and I want to ask him in the short term, because he spoke about government spending huge sums of money trying to settle its debt. So I will ask him a couple of questions around that. Ghana trying to resolve its debt, because that is also really, really important. Hopefully we can get Daniel on. Daniel Sabote is an economist from Ghana. The time now is 9:31. I think we've got Daniel back on. Hopefully, Daniel, this time around, if anything, maybe it would be good to just switch to audio. Because I think if we switch to audio, if you turn off the camera, maybe hopefully it'll be more stable.
Yeah, sorry, there's a problem that we have in Ghana.
That's fine. But let me ask you before you carry on, because I was wondering earlier, you did make mention of the fact that government is spending a lot of its revenue to settle the debt. But isn't there a way that the government can negotiate, with its, people that it owes, or let's say its creditors, a way of how do I put this?
To restructure the debt,
restructuring debt relief.
Yeah, so that is also a possibility, and one of the homegrown policies that we are all looking forward to seeing in this IMF bailout program is to quickly restructure our debt. Okay, it is possible, because the economy has become unattractive. Government is spending so much in servicing our debt. Now, going to IMF is to tell our creditors that indeed we are going through lots of economic challenges, for which the debt can easily be restructured. It is all about negotiating with your creditors. It's all about negotiating with people that have bought your Eurobond and all that. So it is possible. It depends on how we go to the negotiating table and then discuss it. There was a time we had HIPC relief, where the country was declared highly indebted, poor country. Okay, and we had lots of reliefs. I think that where we have gotten to, we are not far from that. So we can also seek for such a release from our creditors. It is possible.
And also, before the line cut off, you were talking about some of the measures that were introduced in the midterm budget that you felt was viable and could help to help bring the economy back into shape, as it were.
Exactly so. So I mentioned that central bank have been mandated to now go in for domestic gold to back the cedi, and that will in a way strengthen the cedi. We hope that by this measure, the depreciation of the cedi will be arrested in a way to solve partially that problem. Okay, and then they've also temporarily placed a ban on the importation of grains, because one of the reasons for our high inflation is due to high costs of food, domestic food, food items. We talk of our grains, right? So if there is a temporary ban on it, then it means that the indigents will have the opportunity to patronize such grains. So that is also another important solution to this problem. Yeah, yesterday I read somewhere an economist also suggesting that government should also think of going into a currency board, where they will come up with certain stringent measures to check the in and outflow of the dollar. I think that is also a possibility. Okay, and now that the e-levy has been reviewed downwards, we hope that the rate will also be reviewed, because people have alternatives. Okay, and people are trying, and it's like we try to avoid it. If there is no substitute, you cannot avoid it. But so far as we have substitute, it can easily be avoided. Okay, so not as we thought from the beginning that whether it is 1.5 or 1.75, also patronize the services of mobile. Now, government has seen that it is not a possibility and that there should be an alternative. And then government have also reduced their discretionary expenditure by 30%. I think this will also go a long way to save the economy, because we are spending so much on compensation and goods and services. So if government in their own wisdom have decided to reduce their discretionary expenditure by 30%, I think it will also help. As it is, not that we have issues with food supply. We have food in abundance in Ghana. We are producing, just that the costs of these food items are very, very expensive, right? So I've been saying that, inflation can be caused by demand pull or cost push. Okay, let me explain the demand pull. The demand pull is where we have people having enough money chasing goods, but the goods are not readily available. Okay, and that forces the price of such goods to go up. That is a demand pull. So if there is demand pull inflation and you are using monetary policies like increasing your interest rate, that is a policy rate, you try to contract expenditure, you succeed if it is caused by demand pull. But in our case, I see it to be more of cost push, because the items are there, just that they are very expensive. Farmers produce, you get to the hinterland, the food items are very cheap, but the transportation cost is so huge because they spend so much in transporting those goods. Petroleum products very high. Okay, so it is more of cost push than what demand pull. So if you try to use the demand pull approach in solving cost push inflation, you will succeed. Okay, so the solution now is to encourage our farmers. If need be, we can even support them in terms of the fuel allocation that the trucks will be using in bringing the food items to the cities to sell. Okay, so these are all ways of bringing in certain homegrown solutions to the problem. But to be very honest, I don't think we can sustain this economy without the support of IMF. And the 3 billion, I pray that IMF will agree, and then we should be able to also negotiate well, not to sacrifice certain essential social interventions, all in the name of seeking for IMF bailout.
Daniel, always a pleasure talking to you. Thank you very much for taking time out to talk to us.
Thank you so much too. Bye-bye.
Thank you. That was Daniel Osabote. Daniel is an economist. In Ghana, we just spoken to. So there you have it. Let's hear your take. You can call in or you can send a text message. If you want to call in 0203-735-8820 or 0203-286-0185. Alternatively, you can call or text 0778-793-9958. These are the numbers that you need. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, I'll take some of your calls and read some of your messages. We'll be back right after this.
Become a successful entrepreneur with Jackie and her professional team. Become a successful entrepreneur. Anase Base. Wami a team of professional teachers of economics, marketing, ninga omuyebi. So pesa will transform our life from a youth graduate and a school leaver. Nasa pesa wo ye entrepreneur. Mon contacti Base. Entrepreneur no che say obia ebia wa business. Ebia wo ye che. But wo pesa wo ye no in a professional way. To say Oprah Winfrey. Anaya papa Kwame Despite. Base betmama sa diano abim. One your experts ewo coaching and a mentoring. And as person will start our business base for better how our expand your business and as existing customer base. Base provides support in business plans, step-by-step finance applications, and marketing strategies. Base or become a successful entrepreneur also provide entrepreneurship skills through vision and determination. Some more per free consultation for a base
073 99867 417. I repeat 073 99867 417.
And also one more email address info@becomeasuccess.co.uk. Website www.becomeasuccess.co.uk. Mokohwa mobetimi make bookings for an appointment. Base and I said become a successful entrepreneur. Let's turn your vision into a reality.
Yo, Ghana for you want English approach my moha. Ya sweady. Yenya emranimfo a wen akwatare wo emranimu a poto kasemu ye kase a lawyer for entimi nuanom mumyemfo ye immigration ensem nyina enko dan wo mo fortwell solicitors emranimu akuku drofo se watna ha che ombeboa wo ma wonsa ka won krata na se wedi edro nso a eyo mo kokokra eba ne nipa sitena mu eni adwuma mu nsem bia omudimu akotene pa omo wo mre di mani pa bia na de enika wo mu mpo ne se no consultation fee.
Fortwell Solicitors always puts our clients' needs first. We specialize in all UK visa applications, detention and deportation cases, student and work points-based work permit applications from both UK and abroad. Fortwell Solicitors also deals with long residence and human rights applications outside the immigration rules. Don't wait till last minute. Fortwell Solicitors is located at
Unit 1, ground floor, Katrina House, 58 Clarendon Road, London, N80DJ. Nearest tube station, Tempark Lane and Wood Green. Overground, Hornsey Station. Buses, 41 to Archway and 144 to Maswa Hill. For more info, call 0203 3257 030. Call our 24-hour line on 0754 8701 011. Website www.fortwellsolicitors.com.
Opening hours Monday to Friday 9:30 to 5:30 p.m.
Thursday beyond so your Milton Keynes.
Fortwell Solicitors is regulated by SRA.
Fortwell Solicitors.
The world as we know it has changed, and so have the issues affecting our community.
COVID-19 and the geopolitical tensions have really made it abundantly clear that the African continent has to do more to be self-sufficient from an industrial capacity point of view.
Join me, Awuah, on GN Breakfast Show as we look at issues affecting us here in the UK, with a close eye on trending stories across the world.
When we invest from the UK into infrastructure in African countries, that it is absolutely transparent.
With a focus on Ghana's social and political issues.
I mean, it's not about you thinking about, your money, the Sikadia Basa is not what our authorities should be thinking about, or officials, but rather they should think about the nation.
The Breakfast Show with Awuah.
Monday to Wednesday from 8 a.m. on GN Radio.
Become a successful entrepreneur with Jackie and her professional team. Become a successful entrepreneur. Anase Base. Wami a team of professional teachers of economics, marketing. Ninga omoyebi. So pesa will transform your life from a youth graduate and a school leaver. Nasa pesa will ye entrepreneur. Mon contacti Base. Entrepreneur no che say obia ebia wa wo business. Ebia we che. But pesa we no in a professional way. To say Oprah Winfrey. Anaya papa Kwame Despite. Base bit mama sa Diano Abim. One your experts ewo coaching and a mentoring. And as all person will start to wow business base for better how ubesia expand your business and as existing customer base. Base provides support in business plans, step-by-step finance applications, and marketing strategies. Base or become a successful entrepreneur also provide entrepreneurship skills through vision and determination. Some more per free consultation for a base ewo
073 99 867 417. I repeat 073 99 867 417.
And also one email address info@becomeasuccess.co.uk. Website www.becomeasuccess.co.uk. Mokohwa mubetimi make bookings for an appointment. Base and I said become a successful entrepreneur. Let's turn your vision into a reality.
Welcome back to the program. The time now is 9:10. A few messages have come in regarding my interview I did with Mr. Daniel Sabote, who's an economist from Ghana. And he's actually agreed to rejoin the program again. So just waiting for him to reconnect. And then we'll get him on there to answer a few questions. So I think this is from Kofi Ali. Kofi Ali is asking. So Daniel, thank you for joining us once again. Mr. Daniel Sabote, thank you for joining us once again. Kofi Ali is asking if Mr. Sabote is saying that IMF bailout is to pump money into Ghanaian economy to boost up the economy so it function. I suggest, and this is from him, he's saying that I suggest he's misinforming us. We're going for a loan so that we can meet up with our obligation on our debt due to repayment, interest plus principal. This means the fund the state was gathering up, the debt repayment can be freed for other domestic issues. I think that was what Daniel was actually saying. Kofi Ali, but Daniel is on there. Daniel?
Yeah, hello. Yes, I think we're on the same wavelength.
Yes.
That was what exactly I said. I said with this IMF bailout, it is to, one, boost the investor confidence in the economy, okay, so that we can attract more investors, get to the Eurobond market, be able to raise enough money to support the economy. That in a way will free the overstretched city, okay? So directly, yes, it is to help sustain our debt. And with IMF bailout, it gives the investor that confidence. It's like a collateral, okay? So your foreign reserve is likely to also show up. And that gives you that kind of credibility, okay, to run the economy. So it's the same thing.
Sure. This is from James. James is asking, Jones, we keep hearing that the war on Ukraine is impacting the global economy. Ghana, for instance, how does the war on Ukraine impact Ghana?
Yeah, in a way, it is impacting our economy because we are in a global economy. We do business with Russia, we do business with Ukraine. Okay, we have Russia supplying oil, okay, petroleum products. We have Ukraine giving the world grains. So as we speak, we also import wheat from Ukraine. So the price of flour in Ghana has gone up. So indirectly, we are also feeling the pinch because of this war. Even though it is not a full-blown one, it is also contributing to this negative repercussions that we are having in Ghana.
And I think you also did make mention that before these external factors, the economy, the trajectory of the economy was on the way down anyway.
Yeah.
So this is from Akosia. Akosia is asking, during the mid-year budget review, the finance minister said that he would take 2 years to be able to resolve the issue. As an economist yourself, do you think this is plausible?
2 years, it will be very difficult because the solution that government has suggested in the mid-year review, we've not even started reaping the results. Okay, it will take time. So for you to bring back the economy on its right footing within 2 years, it will be very difficult. At least they'll be able to make some inroads. They'll be able to stabilize certain areas, but not what we experienced in 2019 and then 2021. It will be very difficult. We may be on the path of, to recover. We'll be able to recover, but we cannot get there within 2 years. Because with inflation, first you have to, initially inflation was increasing at an increasing rate, right? That was the first quarter. But then you look at the second quarter, even though it is increasing at a decreasing rate. So that tells you that there is slight improvement, okay? So if government is able to hold inflation at bay where it is, then the next agenda will be to try to reduce it. Okay, so it will take some time. And of course, with the IMF bailout, we are not expecting to receive the support this year. Okay, I'm sure it will be first quarter of next year because negotiations are still going on. Yeah, so 2 years, I have my doubts.
And this will be the final one. This is from Samson. Samson is saying that, can we actually trust this government? It was the same government that's made it known to Ghanaians that they will not go out to seek IMF bailout. This government have also said the social, one of the social policies, the intervention put in place, the free SHS, said the IMF will not have any implications on the free SHS. Can we actually believe this government, or is it going to be business as usual? They say one thing and they do the opposite. From some,
it's unfortunate. We had a finance minister telling Ghanaians that we have what it takes in managing the economy and that we don't need the support of IMF, only within a month for them to make a U-turn. So that in itself has that kind of credibility issue. You see, that credibility is lost. So people now doubt whatever the government is saying. But I have a challenge in that we thought the e-levy was a panacea to all our challenges right from the beginning. We were told that e-levy will help in developing infrastructure, e-levy will help expand businesses, e-levy will help open up businesses, will reduce unemployment and all that. You see, if you hype policies like that, then you begin to raise expectations of Ghanaians. So if you're not able to achieve whatever you projected, then before the Ghanaian, you have become a liar. Okay, so I have a problem with the finance minister so bold in declaring that we are not going to IMF only for us to go back to IMF. So people still have their doubt if what government is telling us will be able to do it. So I think Ali, you have a point there.
Okay. All right. And I don't know whether this is a statement or a comment. Kofi Ali just wanted to come back. He's saying, I think the so-called foreign reserve thing is a myth. How can you claim to be a debtor and at the same time claiming to be capable of sustaining a reserve? You are in deep debt to the extent of not capable of paying your installment and saying you are seriously storing some money as reserve. How, if not an old school? Okay, I think it's more of a
Kofi Ali, I think that
question.
you see, with the foreign reserve, it is like an immune booster. Okay, it is just an immune booster that should the unexpected happen. Can we still be importing goods without any repercussions on the economy? So it is like a booster, sort of. So if you need money, I think the first thing you do is to fall on your reserves. Okay, that is why the foreign reserve keep on depleting. But as to whether the figure that is being churned out is a real figure, because within a week we had two different figures. The parliamentarians were saying, the committee in charge of finance came out to tell us that our foreign reserve has reduced from, is it 9 point something to 3 billion, only for another release to come out and say that no, it is 7.9 billion. So as to which figure we are using is also a myth. So transparency is what we need.
All right, Daniel, thank you for coming on once again. Thank you.
Most welcome. Most welcome.
All right, so there you have it. Daniel Sabote decided to come on to answer a few of your questions. Keep your text messages coming in. The number you need is 0778-793-9958. Okay, these are the numbers you need. And if you're on Facebook too, you can leave your messages on there and I will read them out. Yes, call in as well, as I keep saying. It's interesting, isn't it? I did ask at the top of the hour, I was asking about how people are living, how they're coping with the higher cost of living. We're facing a crisis. It's not just here, it's everywhere. You go to Sierra Leone, it's there. You go to Uganda, it's there. I think Uganda, the president of Uganda, Museveni, actually told the citizens to tighten up their belt and stop asking the government for subsidies. Times are hard. Times are hard indeed. Earlier, Mr. Yossi said something that I thought there's an element of truth in that. He was saying that, well, he was suggesting that the real cost of living is not here. Go to Ghana and see, you will witness the real cost of living. But then again, purchasing power is different. The purchasing power parity is different there. So us here, what we need to be able to sustain us is much higher. Ghana is much lower because of purchasing power. Right. Keep your thoughts and comments coming in. Mr. Kofi Ali, I hope Daniel was able to answer some of your questions for you. Hopefully we'll be able to get you on again. But soon we'll be going on a break. If you're listening to us on Tunein or online, we'll be going on a break. You can quickly switch onto our Facebook page and join the conversation, but the conversation will still carry on. Hello.
Yes, this Kofi Ali, our time is not on our side.
Yes, sir, you can talk.
Yes. You see, I like coming in to talk. Until we hear what each other is looking at, probably we will realize sometimes we are talking about different things that look similar.
Yeah,
they look, what we are talking about is almost the same thing, but they also look similar. We didn't just, the problem we have now are in two forms, I'll say. One, or look at it, our own economy against the economy of the rest of the world. I want to put it that way.
Okay.
The Ghanaian economy against the economy of the rest of the world. That is where import and export comes in. Is that not true?
Yeah.
Now, import and export means when we are talking about export, it's what your nationals, your citizens, your country, what you are all producing. What you are producing is what? Of course, you consume some of it and send the rest outside.
Mm-hmm.
Normally, it's supposed to be the surplus. Then what others are, what you are importing are what others are producing. And when they produce, it gets into your economy, right? Mm-hmm. And that is import. In other words, you need them. You just import, you need them, the essential things to you. Mm-hmm. Then, now see, we have almost 80% of what we consume in Ghana.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I'm talking about manufactured goods imported into Ghana. For every import, remember, it comes at a cost. You pay for it. It's not free.
Yeah.
When we export in dollar. Mm-hmm. When we import in dollar.
Yes.
The fact that the ordinary man on the street is buying CD doesn't reduce the cost of that thing because it's imported.
Yeah.
That import means if we are talking about 80% import of manufactured goods and 20% locally, assuming we are locally producing those things, it means we are creating jobs. 80% of our job is going to foreigners.
Yes.
And we are only involved in just 20 or less percent of
15%,
that.
15%, yeah.
So how can you say we are? Well, what are we talking about here? It means we'll be spending more money going out than money coming in.
Yeah.
Anyway, how can we say now that we have investors in Ghana?
I think
can you see?
No. I take your point, Kofi, but I think what Sabote was saying, I think he was more on the fact that we import. He was saying that the international corporations are the ones that import the most, and as such, when the money does come in, I'm talking about the dollar here. The dollar then is whisked away. And Ghanaians make up, I think he said 15% in terms of imports.
Who are those importing?
Ghanaians.
No. Who do you say are importing the bigger chunk?
Oh, the international corporations.
The international corporation like Pfizer, like Coca-Cola, and so on. Are those the ones you are talking about?
Yes, he didn't name.
When they produce in Ghana, who consume them?
Well, Ghanaians consume them. Yeah.
Ghanaians. Therefore, Ghanaians are important. They are just middlemen for us. It is Ghanaians who have to pay for that because that in GDP is calculated as part of cost of production in Ghana.
Uh-huh.
So when you look at GDP, which is gross domestic product, everything done within Ghana is the responsibility of the state of Ghana.
Mm-hmm.
Good. What we don't realize is that, do you remember there was a case that the items that are coming from the rural areas, the prices are going up?
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. Remember, those people who are producing, even within the rural, forget about the fertilizer they buy that are imported.
Yeah.
Forget about other things. Don't they have television in their house? Mm-hmm. Don't they want to watch television? Mm-hmm. So they also will be producing locally to meet, because they'll be using insecticides and so on to farm. Some have even got tractors. They will be using those things, so they are supplying, selling to whoever in Ghana, looking at the cost, other costs, so that they'll meet up, because they also want to buy television, they want to buy microwave and tele. Now, and a fridge. Now look at another side. We are now talking about what is that thing? About the cost of petrol. Is that not true?
Yeah.
Is Ghana not a petrol producing country?
Oil.
Don't we have crude oil? And if you have crude oil, you have petrol.
Yeah. We export
diesel.
Crude oil. Yeah.
So what we are doing is that instead of refining the oil in Ghana and selling it to Ghanaians at the price we want to in cedis,
yeah.
the so-called international, that's why with these investors, we have a problem with them. You see, the so-called international investors have hijacked everything from us.
Sure.
Good. So what they do is that they refine it and sell those things in dollar to us.
Yeah.
Can you see? Well, it's business.
Yeah.
You see those multinational corporations you see in Ghana.
Well,
they are too powerful.
It's I wouldn't even say it's business, Kofi. It's a concept and ideology pushed by the so-called
No, my brother. You see,
it is because it's
we don't want to play the victim.
No, Kofi, no. I honestly, it's not a victim. This is not.
No, I'm talking about myself, sir.
Of course.
I'm not talking about you
here, but I'm just
because
saying it's how this whole international economy is run.
Good. This is how the international global economy is designed.
Yeah.
And we are the victims here. Is that not true?
Well,
yeah, we are the victims.
Yes, well, you can say that. Yeah, sure.
Yes, we are the victim. We go to Europe, we go and borrow bonds, we go to World Bank, we borrow, we go to everybody. Now China is even borrowing to us. Russia is coming to borrow to us. So everyone us. They are borrowing us and we are paying interest. And on that, we are sinking down.
Yes.
So how can we rescue this situation? So that we can also create our own criminals. When criminals are cheating you, you sit down and say, oh, the gun is very bad. Boy, you need to get your own. If not so, they will rape your wife in front of you and your children, and when they finish, they shoot you too because you don't use your head.
So why? Let me ask you that question, Kofi. The solution for that to stop.
The solution we have. Kwame Nkrumah has died. I don't like Kwame. Stop even mentioning his name again.
Yeah.
Some said, let's create African continental government. And some said, okay, African continental government, let us do the regional one. Is that not true?
Yes.
The regional one is called ECOWAS. Do you think if we put power together in West Africa, we won't start reversing this monstrous approach of cheating people in the world? I didn't do anything to be born in Ghana. Nobody decide where they are born. But why should our place of birth be the determinant of our destiny? We are limited. We are seriously handicapped. Do you understand what I'm saying here? If you have somebody in America, he doesn't even have ordinary O level. He has prospered in his life because he's born there, or he has found his way to get there. Kofi Ali is born in Ghana. From the day I was born to the day I will die, the only thing I can see is poverty. What have I done? Why? So let us sit back. This is, to us, it's a war. It's not a joke. IMF is there for the whole world. It's not for us alone. Is that not true? Why are we going for bailout? Why are we even going to beg them? When this government came, they say they are not going to beg any IMF. They will find a way locally of raising the money and then paying for their debt when it's due. Is that not true?
Yes.
And then we are on our knees. The other government that was there, the NDC, they don't understand any language. Buga buga. They are all going to. In fact, they even go if they have the devil himself, they go and borrow money from that one. Because for them, it's about building bridges and building roads and building bridges. And then, you understand?
Yeah.
They don't have any idea. We are tired. You have yesterday a man came to this country, called himself a minister of foreign affairs and regional planning. Is that not true?
Yeah.
Maybe he should have called himself continental or global planning. Then we understand what he's doing. Regional, which is regional? Is regional ECOWAS or African Union? If you say region, is the African Union responsible for a continent or is responsible for a region?
The continent.
Good. So the title is about foreign affairs, and then look, we need to wake up. Somebody's calling himself regional. What is he planning in West Africa for us? Can you understand? And therefore, if the office is not important, why did they create that position? They didn't say continental, they say regional planning, which means the whole of West Africa. That is the man. So he has been given two jobs to manage the foreign affairs, which include the Chinese and Europeans and Americans and the Russians. You understand?
Yeah.
On behalf of Ghana. Is that not true? And then because the ECOWAS is a very important institution, we have that person doubling up until in the future, maybe the offices will be separated. Can you see?
Yeah, Kofi, let me just push you a little bit. So we're having a discussion here. This was triggered by the Ghana's economy. And if I'm asking you that about the solution, in terms of ECOWAS, let's talk about ECOWAS for now, before we even talk about the African Union as a whole. What do you think? What practical solutions do you think can be achieved if you're saying that let's give ECOWAS the power to be able to sort out these economic challenges that Africa, for instance, the countries in Africa keep facing all the time?
Yes, you see, everything in ECOWAS is right except one thing. Everything. We have checked everything. It is there already, except the people. You cannot have ECOWAS like the European Union, can you see, without the people. Everybody agree we ECOWAS must be the ECOWAS of the people. Do you agree with me?
Yeah.
What makes Ghana the Ghana of the people of Ghana? Why are we talking about ID card or no ID card and who should vote and who should not vote? Because whatever we are going to do, whatever we are going to lay, the loan we are going to take, whatever commitment we are going to make is going to be done in the name of the people of Ghana. Is that not true? So those we are going to elect will be there to serve the people of Ghana. Is that not true?
Right.
Good. And we are up in arms that everyone must be allowed to vote. Even imbeciles must vote who cannot get themselves ID card. Common ID card. Fine. Why do we think that should not be the case in the ECOWAS too? At least for the parliamentarians. Do you think if Ghanaians are voting for someone directly to go to that ECOWAS parliament instead of choosing them from Ghana parliament to go and represent us like fools? Because we don't have brain, we don't know who to choose and who not to choose. If we are voting direct, do you think they will not come and explain things to us?
But Kofi, okay, no, I get it. And again, it's a fair comment. But okay, so how do we then avoid what we're seeing here in the UK?
Now, how do we avoid what we are seeing
the
here?
situation of Brexit happening.
Good. Right now, all you just mentioned Togo has gone. IMF, I remember you heard it. You said almost all of them are going now. Can you see? Do you know that by the time we start that election, right, the ECOWAS currency will come into existence that automatically it will just be, they won't have a choice. Can you see? Now, these so-called rising prices will become the problem of ECOWAS. It's not going to be the problem of Ghana directly anymore. Can you see? Because the currency like the euro will become the problem of ECOWAS. So the economy of West Africa will become the problem of ECOWAS. While each country, like they are doing in the EU, will be managing their own affairs as they can, working in seriously in collaboration with ECOWAS. Can you see?
No, I understand. But also we must not forget that the countries in the EU, these are powerful economies.
They are advanced. We understand that one. They are technologically advanced than we are.
Yes. So I was going to ask. I mean, if we're talking about economically, and we mentioned GDPs. I mean, combination of these countries, the GDP. How would it be able to translate?
You see, remember I want to take your mind back. We are not Chinese. When they made their revolution, our economy is stronger than their own. West African economy is stronger than their own. Today, go there and see what they have done. What we are saying is, it is not sensible to want to deal with Coca-Cola for some reasons in Ghana and they move to Togo. When they are leaving, they will leave all the 15 countries. All. Yeah. It will be easier for us to control the powerful ones. Can you see? The money we are borrowing from the so-called IMF is our own money. These multinational corporations are too powerful for the individual government.
Sure.
So when they move the money out, you go and check how they repatriate the global capital. They took away the money. Then they will go and invest it in the same bank. And we go to those banks and borrow to come and build the road. If we are collecting tax from them, do we need to go there? So you see, it will be like, initially our problem will be like India. India is very big.
Yeah.
Can you see? But they are working. They are capable. Billionaires are there. You go to our place. The only billionaire you have are people in politics who are stealing government money. So what I'm trying to say here, look at it carefully. You see what we are saying. Look, the criminals we have, their masters are here. We want to create the criminals themselves. Do you understand me?
Yeah, I do.
Hello?
Yes, I do. I do.
Yeah, so you look, this is the way of the world. We need to understand we can't change what is there, but we can change our own destiny.
Sure.
You understand me? You look at how they dealt with Russia. They start pulling the strings from left, center, right, left, center, right, left, center, right. Although it's backfiring now, the cause of things in here and Ghana and everywhere. You see, the whole global economy is interconnected. Can you see?
Yeah.
Good. So the quantity of oil, petrol, oil, gas, Russians are pumping into the world, it makes up for a very good proportion of the oil that is consumed.
Yeah.
So what they have done now is that by no, not Russia. Russia didn't put sanctions on us. We, the so-called powerful West, followed by those in Africa who don't know what they want. We put sanctions on Russia. Is that not true?
Yeah.
So the crude oil is not coming in. So a chunk has gone away because we want to protect our brothers in Ukraine who are dying. Now, what is happening now is that the little oil that is available so far, there is pressure on that because all those who were relying on the Russian oil are now what? The oil is not coming. So they are now going and fighting with the British and everybody else to get the oil from Nigeria, from Gabon, from Equatorial Guinea, from Libya, wherever they can get the oil. Saudi Arabia, you understand what we are saying here? That is why the price is going up, because the manufacturers are run by gas, oil, or petrol.
No.
And so they need those things. There's pressure on them. So their price will also go up. Is that not true?
Yeah, because we need to run up for me, please.
So that explains that to you. In our case, our everything, Nigeria oil, Ghana oil, in fact, they say they're going to get some oil in Cote d'Ivoire and there's going to be some gas and oil in Senegal. They are all taken by these people. God knows they are criminals. We don't know where they come from.
All right.
Let us meet these people halfway and then do business. We are not stupid.
All right.
Democracy. What is the use of democracy if you are not allowed to vote for people who added to those you are voting for already?
All right. Thank you very much, Kofi. Thank you very much. Always a pleasure talking to you. That was Kofi Ali. Let me read a few of your text messages that have come in this morning. The time now is 6:17, actually, 17 minutes past 10. Where are we? Okay. Earlier, let me start with Mr. Eosin. Mr. Eosin saying we can't complain. Ghanaians live comfortably with abject poverty. Mr. Eosin is saying we cannot complain. Ghanaians live comfortably with abject poverty. In Ghana, since Nkrumah was removed by the NPP, and every Ghanaian is cool with the high cost of living in the UK than economic mismanagement at home in Ghana. People die in the ocean trying to come to the UK, and they would love being in the UK to suffer endlessly than in Ghana. So that was Mr. Yosin. Earlier, Mr. Yosin, when he came on the line, he was saying that, look, if you really want to know about the reality of economic hardship, then you ought to be in Ghana, because these are the ones that are actually facing the real reality of economic hardship, because in the UK, at least, the government is trying. You know, there's still universal credit still rolling. But then I keep saying that, you know, purchasing power is different to that of people in Ghana. Cynthia is saying, Jones, I'm a support worker. Due to the higher cost of living, I'm working longer shifts, doing more hours. I would suggest and encourage to each and every individual to look for passive income if you can, or just work longer hours like I'm doing. Okay. That's from Cynthia. Let's take this from Eric. Eric is saying, thankfully, Jones, I haven't heard anything negative about the Kenyan election. So well done to the people of Kenya. Hopefully, some counties that were unable or regions that were not able to vote, the EC of Kenya will be able to sort that out so they can vote to, to calm down tensions. So well done to Kenya. Now, on the issue of Ghana. I'm glad you had the economists on, because all the time we keep hearing the war in Ukraine having adverse impact on Ghana's economy. And I'm also glad that you mentioned that Ghanaians could negotiate debt relief, because what this would do is it will free up some money for the government to be able to use. Okay, thank you. Ibrahim, this is from Ibrahim. Ibrahim is saying that, Jones, things are hard here in the UK. I have a family of 5, and I'm literally working around the clock to make sure I'm able to meet and pay my debts. Okay. Junior is saying, good morning, Jones, and thank you as always for the show. Great show. I'm not surprised that the government I'm guessing you're talking about Ghana. The government have decided to seek more money from the IMF. I just hope that free SHS is not affected by the IMF bailout. People still not 100% have confidence in the government, because they did a massive U-turn, saying that they were not going to the IMF, and all of a sudden they decided to seek an IMF bailout. Anyway, we're taking a quick break. When we come back, we'll bring you more stories trending across the continent of Africa, and I'll read more of your text messages. This higher cost of living, this crisis that we happen to find ourselves in, is not a joke. How are you coping? How are you dealing with it? Let's hear from you.
Become a successful entrepreneur with Jackie and her professional team. Become a successful entrepreneur. Anase Base. Wami a team of professional teachers of economics, marketing. Ninga omoyebi. So pesa will transform your life from a youth graduate and a school leaver. Nasa pesa wo ye entrepreneur. Mon contacti Base. Entrepreneur no che say obia ebia wo business. Ebia wo ye che. But pesa wo ye no in a professional way. To say Oprah Winfrey. Anaya papa. Kwame Despite. Base. Betmama sa diano abim. One your experts our coaching and a mentoring. And as a person will start our business base for better how our expand your business and as existing customer base. Base provides support in business plans, step-by-step finance applications, and marketing strategies. Base or become a successful entrepreneur also provide entrepreneurship skills through vision and determination. Some more free consultation for a base
073 99867 417. I repeat, 073 99867 417.
And also one more email address info@becomeasuccess.co.uk. Website www.becomeasuccess.co.uk. Mokohwa mobetimi make bookings for an appointment. Base and I said become a successful entrepreneur. Let's turn your vision into a reality.
Yo, Ghana for you want English approach my moha. Ya sweady. Yenya emrenim fo a wen akwatare wo emrenimo a poto kasemu ye kase a lawyer for entimi nia no mo yemfa ye immigration ensem nyina enko dan wo mo fortwell solicitors emrenim akuku drofo se watna ha che ombeboa wo ma wonsa kan wo krata na se wedi edron so a eyom kokokra eba ne nipa sitina mu ani adwuma mu nsem bia omudim akotene pa omo wo mre di mani pa bia na de ni kan wo mu poni se no consultation fee.
Fortwell Solicitors always puts our clients' needs first. We specialize in all UK visa applications, detention and deportation cases, student and work points-based work permit applications from both UK and abroad. Fortwell Solicitors also deals with long residence and human rights applications outside the immigration rules. Don't wait till last minute. Fortwell Solicitors is located at
Unit 1, ground floor, Katrina House, 58 Clarendon Road, London, N80DJ. Nearest tube station, Tempark Lane and Wood Green. Overground, Hornsey Station. Buses 41 to Archway and 144 to Maswa Hill. For more info, call 0203 3257 030. Call our 24-hour line on 0754 8701 011. Website www.fatwellsolicitors.com.
Opening hours Monday to Friday 9:30 to 5:30 p.m.
Thursday Beyonce Young Milton Keynes.
Fatwell Solicitors is regulated by SRA.
Fatwell Solicitors.
The world as we know it has changed, and so have the issues affecting our community.
COVID-19 and the geopolitical tensions have really made it abundantly clear that the African continent has to do more to be self-sufficient from an industrial capacity point of view.
Join me, Awuah, on GN Breakfast Show as we look at issues affecting us here in the UK, with a close eye on trending stories across the world.
When we invest from the UK into infrastructure in African countries, that it is absolutely transparent.
With a focus on Ghana's social and political issues.
I mean, it's not about you thinking about, your money, the Sikadiya Basa is not what our authorities should be thinking about, or officials, but rather they should think about the nation.
The Breakfast Show with Awuah.
Monday to Wednesday from 8 a.m. on GN Radio.
Good morning, and welcome to GN Radio Morning Breakfast Show with myself. If you just tune in, myself, Awuah, that is. If you just tune in, we've covered a lot of stories this morning, and a big thank you to Daniel Osabote, who's an economist, joined us earlier on all the way from Ghana. Good morning to Mami Oye, Edith. Good morning to you. Good morning to all our listeners. Good morning to you. Keep your text and messages coming in. I will read them out. Earlier, I was talking about the higher cost of living, how people are coping. And to my surprise, I've received a lot of text messages. Well, I shouldn't say I'm surprised. Okay, I'm not surprised because we're all feeling the pinch. I told you yesterday, I went to Tesco's, bought a few items, and I had to pay over £20. Now, ordinarily, I would have probably paid about £10. Yeah, about £10. But now I'm paying over £20. And Mr. Yosin said, we want to see the reality of the higher cost of living. It's not here in the UK, it's in Ghana. And to a certain degree, I agree with him. But nevertheless, a lot of us are feeling the pinch here because there was an article which was published in The Voice a couple of months ago. And, they did the breakdown of the impact of the higher cost of living. Obviously, salaries are not going to go up. People will lose their jobs. Inflation is going to go up. And then when you come down, when it's broken down, you realize that, people in ethnic minorities will suffer more than their white counterparts, and when you break it down even more, Black people will suffer more. So, we're at the bottom of the ladder and we will suffer more, where some of us will have to work longer hours. Some of us will have to work double jobs. Some of us will have to work around the clock. Some of us might have to start or begin a side hustle. Some of us might look for a passive income. You name it. We have to do that to be able to make ends meet and to be able to fulfill our monthly duties, paying our bills, paying our rent. You name it. Okay, so it's important that we have this conversation. I mean, might have to apologize that we might not be able to bring you any quick solutions, but I think it helps. It goes a long way to realize that you're not in this position alone, and also be able to share our experiences and learn from one another, and in any case give each other support, because it is real. It is really, really real. I know somebody who is now in addition to the day-to-day life, the job, now looking to work as an Uber driver, simply because of they have a family, and they need to make sure that they're able to cover their overheads. So it is really, really staggering. Everyone is feeling the pinch. Everyone, everywhere, we're all feeling the pinch. So keep your text messages coming in. Let me read a few actually. So this is from Juliet. Juliet is saying that yes, things are bad, Jones, and I hope that this will not last. And I'd like to encourage everybody out there going through it at this precise moment that whatever it is that you need to do, being legal, make sure you do it so that you can at least be able to be comfortable in what it is that you're doing and how you live. It's important because another aspect to that article I was referring to earlier, again, the downside of this, the pressure that comes out of not being able to meet your monthly responsibilities, i.e., rents, bills, you name it. This could. I'm not surprised. I think we're going to see a higher rise in mental health. And the article also mentioned this as well, because in this country, for instance, I think it was one of my a family member that came here. And when he went back, and as you do, telling people his experience when he was here, he was like, "Oh, the UK, every day is just bills, brown envelopes just popping through your letterboxes, and it's just bills. So it's just stress upon stress upon stress upon stress." And that's what's going to happen. And so when people say that this could lead to people losing their lives, it's not they're not just talking about, oh, by the way, I have this to pay, and then, oh, I can't make ends meet, so you die. No, it's the level of stress that comes with it. The level of stress. I mean, pensioners, people on their pension now. The other day I was listening to one program on radio, and this man called in. He's a pensioner and said, "Listen, my outgoings were £400. Now that has doubled, moved to £800, and this is how much I'm getting." I think he said he was getting around 1,500, and that did not include some external bills that he has to factor in. And so it cuts across board. If you're young, a young professional, if you just graduated, looking to go into the workforce. If you're working, if you have a family, don't have a family, everyone is being impacted. Majority of people, I would say. Majority of people. And right about now, the most important thing is your mental health. And how do you make sure that this does not spiral over to the point where it's having impact on your physical and mental well-being? Serious, really, really serious out there. Okay, now let's bring you other stories as well. And we're sticking with Ghana. Johnson Asiedu Nketia, the General Secretary of the NDC, is claiming that his outfit is not convinced about explanation given by the Electoral Commission, EC, on the use of Ghana card for continuous voter registration. He accused the commission of aiming to change the existing law on elections in the country following a proposed constitutional instrument, CI, by the Commission for the Continuous Registration Exercise. According to Mr. Asiedu Nketia, this is what he's saying. Now, quote him, right? He's saying that this whole idea of trying to throw dust into the eyes of Ghanaian public, that the law is for continuous registration, is completely false, end quote. He stated that Ghana's electoral laws do not provide two separate provisions for registration. He added that the same law that would provide for registration can be used for continuous registration. It can be used for limited registration and a total overhaul of the register. He goes on to say, going by the history of the Electoral Commission, nobody is convinced if EC just comes out without anything in the law and then to tell us that, believe us, we're going to use it for continuous registration. What happened if they use it for something else? I say the criteria is asking. And, you know, sometimes if you follow politics too much, okay, especially these kind of things, when it comes to, especially the electoral commissioner, or the commission, I should say, the institution. This is what they tend to do. You know, if the electoral commission decides to introduce a policy, you know, one party will say it's favoring the other party, this party will say it's favoring the other party, and then they will start bashing the electoral commissioner. Nevertheless, at the end of the day, these same politicians will encourage their voters to apply for the ID card and make sure the Ghana card and make sure that they're able to vote. So that's from Asedin Kitia. And we actually touched on this story yesterday. Okay, so anti-corruption campaigner Vitas Azim, okay, has called on businesswoman and Council of State member Mrs. Eunice Jacqueline Boa Asamoah Hina to resign from her position. We spoke about this yesterday, where the Office of the Special Prosecutor, or prosecution, I should say, found that Miss Jacqueline Boa Asamoah Hina, who's also a member of the Council of State, her company were found to be involved in some corrupt practices by the Office of the Special Prosecutor. And I was saying that she should be jailed. I know that the Special Prosecutor doesn't have the powers to jail anyone, but I was arguing that if they feel, as they've said, okay, they have sufficient evidence, substantive evidence, that the person in question can be prosecuted, then they should escalate the issue. Should take it to court. Because then what's the point? Is the special prosecutor just there to, okay, so we heard that you're involved in some corrupt practice. So in that case, bring back the money and then that's it. And the person still holds their position. I mean, what's the point of this whole accountability? Then what's the point? So, according to Vitus, Vitus is saying that if President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo was really committed to the anti-corruption fight, steps should be taken to ensure that Mrs. Asamoah Hina leaves her position following recent corruption-related offenses involving her and her company. And I quote Vitus, he's saying that this Council of State member should have resigned by now if the leadership, the president, and his executives are determined to fight corruption. That should be the case. Well, I go a step further. She should be sent to jail. There I say it. It might sound controversial, but I mean, look, if that's the case, somebody that's into the business of frozen food and also a board member at the harbor, and they're using their position to influence decisions for them to get preferential treatment and to avert paying money, then such a person needs to be held accountable. If we want to live by the laws of the land, it should be seen to be working. All right, and let's look at other stories as well. Yes, we discussed this and we're still following this, throughout the course of the week. The U.S. Secretary of State decided to embark on a tour across Africa off the back of Russia's visit. Now we've seen the United States also going on a tour. We saw the president of France, Emmanuel Macron, also making the journey. Why? Because they want to sell their story. They want to get African leaders onto their side. And I was really concerned at the tone that Macron used, calling out African leaders, calling them as being hypocrites, labeling them as hypocrites. So we can see what is happening here. Yesterday, we spoke about the U.S. Secretary of State during his visit to South Africa, where he made it clear, saying that the U.S. Washington will not dictate to Africa, and so should any other country try to dictate to Africa. However, what the U.S. U.S.'s priority for Africa is, good partnership and democracy. And then I started laughing to myself that these guys, they're up to the same tricks again. Anyway, so this story here, the U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken met with Congolese leader Felix Tshisekedi of Congo at Kinshasa, part of his three-nation African tour. Tshisekedi was to raise the question of strategic partnership between DRC and the United States during the meeting. If the statesmen also discussed bilateral trade and investment partnerships for regional security was top of the agenda. Okay, so sometimes these stories, the way they construct these stories, I think it's probably a translation from French to English. So if it sounds a bit confusing, then please, pardon me. I think what they were trying to say is that both statements also discussed bilateral trade and investment partnerships for regional security was on the agenda as well. I remember when I posted this particular story on my Facebook page, people were saying, look, what now? What has changed? Why now all of a sudden, Africa has become the bride again, the bride of the international system. Why? What, are we just there for you to come and sweep us off our feet talking about bilateral agreement and partnership? Listen, the U.S. has a mind of its own. The U.S. listens to nobody, and it does what it deems fit to serve its own interests. So it's interesting to see what is happening here. Let's take a quick listen to this report.
U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken met Tuesday with Congolese leader Felix Tshisekedi at the Kinshasa Presidential Palace. If the statesmen discussed bilateral trade and investment, partnerships for regional security was top of the agenda. Congo accuses Rwanda of supporting the M23 rebels active in the east. During a press conference with DRC's top diplomat, Blinken evoked a report by UN experts alleging Rwanda provides military support to the rebels.
We are very concerned by credible reports that Rwanda has provided support to M23. We call on all parties in the region to stop any support or cooperation with M23, or for that matter, any other non-state armed group. Any entry of foreign forces into the DRC must be done transparently with the consent of the DRC.
Another topic on the table was climate change and the conservation of what's considered the second most important forest in the world. Congo's government was criticized last month when it put up for action oil and gas blocks located in the Congo Basin forests. The United States and the DRC will quickly set up a working group on climate change that will be a framework for consultation and joint action. This also is a guarantee. It is a structure that will help us reconcile the need for the Congolese to enjoy their natural wealth and at the same time protect the common heritage of humanity. Antony Blinken will also meet civil society groups. He announced that the DRC had joined the Feed the Future program, which deals with the food crisis caused by climate change, COVID-19, and the war in Ukraine. Blinken will travel Wednesday to Rwanda to meet President Kagame and his foreign minister.
That should be interesting, the trip to Rwanda, seeing as DRC accusing Rwanda of sending troops to their country. Anyway, so the issue then arises again. What is actually the reason for this unprecedented tour across the region, the African region. And I find it amusing because here we are. We've seen the position of Russia, we've seen the position of China, and we're being drawn. When I say we, Africa is being drawn into this again. Why can't Africa just remain in neutral? You know, US's foreign policy, sometimes they've taken a neutral position. Sometimes see they've taken an isolationist position, and sometimes see intervention. Okay, sometimes to unilaterally making their own decision and doing whatever it is that the US wants to do. Why do you need the US trying or forcing Africans to get involved in what is going on? Well, I guess it's all about allies, isn't it? It's all about allies. And I hope that a lot of these African leaders can take or seize the opportunity to be able to strike deals that will favor them more than the US, than Washington. You know, opportunity arises, take use of it and make use of it and take control, because these opportunities are not going to be there in the long term. All right, now let's turn to some of your messages. This is from Agnes. Agnes is saying that, Jones, I'm flabbergasted as to how that woman is still at post. Is the president really about fighting corruption or paying lip service? Okay. That's from Agnes. Agnes, you sent a few messages as well. Agnes then goes on to say, on the issue of the US trip to Africa, we're sick and tired. These guys have been doing this for centuries now. When will we rise up and wake up and smell the coffee? Okay. Agnes is fired up this morning. I like it. Keep your comments coming in. I mean, look, a lot of us here in the diaspora, we tend to follow politics and global politics at that. We've seen there's a trend that we're able to spot. And when these are happening, we're quick to jump onto it just to put more flesh to the bone, as it were, and start peeling off, unpicking what this actually means, what this signifies. And all of a sudden, we see that a lot of investment will be going towards Africa. I mean, there is, but it's high time that African leaders should be able to just be neutral. You don't necessarily need to, like some countries have done. A lot of African countries, I think about 25 African countries, abstain from condemning Russia from invading Ukraine. And this was what led to President Macron's speech, labeling some of the African leaders as being hypocrites, right? You have to, at some point, there comes a point in time in life when you just have to take a stand and make your position known. I think it was Mandela that said it, and thanks to Julius quoted Julius, who also quoted Nelson Mandela, saying that just because they're your enemy doesn't make them my enemy. But seize this opportunity to be able to make deals, strike deals that will benefit the respective countries. It's not the same, business as usual. It shouldn't be. I mean, how difficult can it be, really? How difficult can it be? You happen to be in a position where the superpowers are vying for your support. Use that to your benefit. And don't be forced into signing ridiculous 360 deals that only favors the US. And as much as the US is still powerful, right now you have China, we have Russia. So the US cannot dictate, and let us not be blindfolded by by just following blindly. All right, let's look at other stories as well. And also, we brought you this story. We discussed this here on the Morning Breakfast Show. Nigeria arrests men suspected of deadly church attack. The suspected gunmen who killed dozens of worshippers during a church service in southern Nigeria in June have been arrested, Nigeria's top military officer said yesterday. This comes 2 months after the attack, which shocked many in the West African nation. And I quote, we have arrested those behind the dastardly act in Awuah, General Leo Irabo, Nigeria's chief defense staff, said in a meeting with local media. Neither Irabo nor the police will confirm the arrest to the Associated Press, provided further details into the development. The Nigerian general, however, said investigations are still ongoing, and in due course, the world will see them and others who are behind other daring attacks in the country. Okay, so here we are. So we're meant to believe that they've been arrested, but we cannot see them yet. So then what's the point of announcing that they've been arrested? What I mean, gosh. Anyway, we have to take their word for it. So they said, investigations are still ongoing. The reason why I'm a bit skeptical, because, before you know it, some of these stories will be swept under the carpets and we'll never hear of it anymore. So we ought to be skeptical. I mean, when it comes to security issues in Nigeria, one have to be skeptical because there's been cases where girls or women were abducted, and the police were blaming the soldiers, and the military was also blaming the police. And, there's been this kind of lack of transparency. So we have to question it. We definitely have to question it. If you know that investigation has not been concluded yet, then why bring this up? Why bring this up? It makes no sense. It makes no sense for me. Surely you will wait for investigation to be concluded before you parade the alleged or supposedly men that have been arrested as being the ones behind the killings. We'll definitely keep an eye on this story. All right. We'll definitely keep an eye. Another story that I wanted to touch on, this is to do with Ghana President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. He was accused of writing a letter to allow another candidate to become the president of Nigeria. President Nana Addo has denied publications in the media that he wrote to the Nigerian presidential candidate for the All Progressive Congress, APC, Asiwaju Bola Tinubu, and asked him to step aside for Peter Obi, the candidate for the Labour Party. In a series of tweets shared on his Twitter page, the president said that he has never thought of writing such a letter. And of course, he has in bold on his Twitter page saying that this is fake news. It's interesting, man. Really, really interesting. The length of breath that people will go to try and push forward a narrative that has nothing to do with Nana, which then forces people to come out publicly deny it. It's ridiculous. I mean, this is the age that we're living in, the technological age, the social media age. If you see anything, you quickly have to go out there and let it be known that this has nothing to do with you. So Nana has come out to refute such claim, saying that he did not write a letter of such to Tinubu. So it is fake news. All right, fake news. We're trying to see if we could get a journalist on to talk about Kenya's election, but I don't think we were successful in doing that. And if you look at the time, time is fast spent. We've got literally about 6 minutes to wrap up the show. So what I may do is to read some of the text messages again. I like the fact that text messages keeps popping up on my screen. Okay. Adra again has sent a text message. Jones, it's beyond my comprehension to believe that woman is still at post. Just like your other caller, I don't understand. Are we really serious about fighting corruption? Do you know what? The issue of corruption, I mean, corruption is something that every government, in any government, or whoever is seeking to go into government, whenever you talk about it and you try to, you make a promise that you will fight it, everybody will give you the time of day to listen to your policy on how you go about addressing such issues. But one thing that we can agree on is that the fight against corruption is not that easy. And I don't think for a chance of, for once, and I'm not supporting the government here, or am I making any excuses for the government. This is just me just talking, because this argument can be you can also look at former governments and how they've dealt with corruption. And I think sometimes as Africans, because corruption is so endemic across Africa, I mean, it's not only peculiar to Africa, okay? We know that corruption happens. It's a global phenomenon, okay? But the fact that when it comes to Africa alone, I think due to the level of abject poverty in Africa and the disparity between the rich and poor, I think it's more exacerbated and is more highlighted. And if you're a person who wants to go into politics or seek to become a president or a member of parliament, a politician at that, and the moment you start talking about corruption, you get the attention of the masses. And I remember Leonardo, 2016, when he came here to the UK. I remember I was there. I heard him when he said that anybody in his government who thinks that his party coming into power will indulge in corruption has something else coming for them. If your aim and your objective is to make money, then look to the private sector. This was what Leonardo said. Now, in terms of corruption, how has he dealt with corruption? You let me know. It's up to you. You are citizens. He told us not to be spectators. You're aware of what's going on. How has he dealt with corruption? Has he dealt with the way he's managed corruption or dealt with corruption any different to that of how Mahama or successive governments dealt with corruption? If the answer is no, then I think we can agree or come to an agreement that corruption is not easy to deal with, because at the end of the day, on the other side, if you're stopping corruption or you're trying to fight against corruption, you need to realize that you're taking food out of somebody else's mouth. You're stopping somebody from making money. And when it's somebody making money, that is their livelihood. That's something somebody depends on that to sustain their businesses, to sustain their lifestyle, to sustain whatever it is that they're doing. And you're trying to stop that. Of course, you're going to face resistance. And I think sometimes our leaders are not transparent with us to talk about how difficult it is to fight against corruption. I don't think they're open to us. I think a lot of us are so fixated on corruption or catching whoever is deemed or allegedly to be corrupt, that as soon as somebody's labeled as being corrupt, yes, that's it. Let's drop it. Let's end it all. Let's go for them. Let's see them behind bars. I mean, they labeled Muhammad as being corrupt, right? Right, he was, but Muhammad is still strolling around, walking around. What happened? Is it just pure allegation, or is it just politics? I don't know. So until our leaders are transparent and able to come to the forefront to explain, to give tangible reasons, logical reasons as to why they are unable to tackle corruption, then we just keep chasing our tail. We keep hearing them. We're going to fight corruption. Under no circumstances should this woman, who the special prosecutor have found to be corrupt, still be in her position. As soon as it emerged that she was involved in corruption, she should have resigned. Her position should have been untenable. And at that, resigned. But here we are. The time now is 11 o'clock. We come to the end of the show, of the week, actually. I'll be back here, all being well, next week, Monday from 8 a.m. Don't forget the conversation continues on our Facebook page, GN Radio UK. Keep the conversation going. And whatever it is you find yourself doing, make sure you look after yourself and you stay safe. Remember, we have a heat wave coming, so make sure that you take the necessary precaution to keep yourself safe. My name is Jones Awuah. Thank you very much for staying tuned. Thank you for your contribution. As always, it's a pleasure to come on your airways to have a conversation with you. I'll see you next week. It's goodbye.